In this video, I'll give you a holistic perspective as to how to get the best relief when it comes to anxiety. Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Zarowski and welcome back to the channel. Now if you're new to the channel, it's a pleasure to have you here. Be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification, and join our notification community so I can help you excel your health and your life. Now in this video, we're going to uncover the best anxiety relief using holistic methods. Now this is a very important video because it's estimated that 40 million Americans suffer from anxiety, 18.1% of the population. And when it comes to anxiety, nobody chooses to have it. You know, it's something that just presents in your life and then it's very, very damaging. I've seen people lose, their families over it, lose their careers over it. It's very, very damaging as a whole. And most people don't really understand anxiety. They just think that there's something innately wrong with their brain and they have a psychiatric disorder. But the truth is that anxiety comes from so many different places and it needs to be addressed in so many different ways based on you as an individual. So in this video, we'll talk about some of the causes, some of the symptoms, and of course, what to do about anxiety. And so let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's first talk about the causes. Now, I want to mention that the cause is different for everybody. Just like utilizing some of the different techniques to reduce anxiety is going to be different for everybody, the causes are different for everybody. So what worked for one person may not work for you. And I think this is important because you're going to find a lot of people who come and say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z and it really helped with my anxiety. And then you try it and it does nothing for you at all. So you're tempted to give up. But I'm telling you that because everybody is different, everybody's unique in the way that this approaches them, you want to make sure that you're not giving up after trying one method. You really want to be trying a lot of different ways to help reduce this. First on our list is stress. Okay, if you have financial stress, career stress, family stress, all these different stressors can drive a lot of anxiety. I know that for me, stress is something that drives a lot of anxiety in my life, and it just in general, I have actually experienced anxiety quite a bit. Once again, something I didn't choose to have, it just happens. And so, this is a topic in particular that is of interest to me. Next here is gut conditions. Now, this is an interesting one because basically when we look at the gut, it's related to how your neurotransmitters are going to be functioning. The gut and the brain are very highly interconnected, and we have to make sure that we have good gut health in order to have good brain health. The gut will affect the neurotransmitter functions in the brain. Now, the other thing that we're going to notice here is that thyroid problems can have a lot of different effects on the mood disorders, also autoimmune disorders as well, because much of your immune system is located in your gut, and the immune system, if you have an autoimmune disorder, it's going to affect the brain, the thyroid, and the gut. Now here's the thing that's important to really take away from this, is that a lot of people don't understand that these different issues can cause anxiety. I had a patient recently and he had a autoimmune condition that I identified right away. I sent him to be checked for this autoimmune condition. He didn't address it, but the problem is that the autoimmune condition that I saw coming on basically turned into a massive anxiety disorder. Now, I told him that your celiac disease is causing an autoimmune condition throughout the entire body that's causing this. He didn't really go for it. He didn't want to make the changes. But then after I told him that, well, your anxiety is probably coming from, the celiac disease and the autoimmune condition, he's like, no, that's not possible. That can't be related. So you have to understand, basically, is what I'm saying, is that anxiety can come from a lot of different conditions in your body because the whole body's connected. Like I said, gut-brain connection, autoimmune and the brain, everything. Next is hormonal imbalances. Dietary. The reason dietary is important and the reason it can be a cause is because if you are having a lot of highs and lows, lots of sugary, starchy carbs, and then going and consuming, a diet that is very unhealthy, basically you're going to have insulin spikes. It can drive anxiety. So we want to make sure we're eating a good, healthy diet. Caffeine is also a cause. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to caffeine, just because we're all genetically wired a little bit differently, basically some people genetically don't handle caffeine as well. I did a whole video on this, and if you're someone who doesn't handle it well and you drink it, then it can cause a lot of anxiety and nervousness for you. So you have to really be careful of that. And of course, always be conscious of the things that you're putting in your body and how it makes you feel. I'm a big fan of actually going and just charting down data and going, hey, felt terrible. This is what I ate. This is what I drank. betcha that it's related to this. And so make sure that if you're doing caffeine or diet, whatever, you're looking at how it could actually be causing anxiety. Next is brain inflammation. And this is an interesting one because you're not going to hear this anywhere else, but basically, when you have a lot of inflammation in the brain, it causes a lot of mood disorders. I'll talk about that more in a moment, but basically, it affects neurotransmitter function. It affects the detox system within the brain, can cause a lot of mood disorders, including anxiety. Now, some of the symptoms, like I said, now symptoms can be different for everybody. Here's some of the top ones that people face. Cardiovascular symptoms, okay, this means tightness in the chest. This means heart palpitations. This means high blood pressure. So a lot of different symptoms there. Irritability, digestive disorders. Now, basically, when you are having anxiety, it's going to change the pH in the gut. It can cause ulcers. It can cause all kinds of problems. So we have to, be aware that not only can a gut condition cause anxiety, but, anxiety from another source can cause a gut condition, which can actually just drive the problem and make it worse. Shallow breathing, panic attacks, sleep disorders, such as insomnia. And this is really important because if you're not getting enough sleep, it can really affect the way that your body is functioning, causing anxiety. The problem is it's kind of a negative feedback cycle. It's like you didn't get enough sleep, so now you have anxiety. Because you have anxiety, you're not getting sleep. So we'll talk about that more in a moment as well. And then also decreased focus. A lot of people who have anxiety, their brains are all over the place, kind of like a ping pong ball, having a very hard time focusing because they're just, shifting from one topic to the next and they can't slow down. Let's talk about positive changes that you can make. Let's first start with dietary changes. As I mentioned, the diet's very important. You have to make sure that you're following a good, healthy diet that's not spiking insulin, not causing a whole bunch of blood sugar dysregulation. Very important here. So make those dietary changes. You want to also make sure that you're following a non-inflammatory diet. I always recommend the Heal Yourself diet. I'll put a link in the description to that. And of course, all the other resources I'm going to talk about here. DHA is important as well. Now, there's tons of studies out there that show DHA has a very positive impact on brain function. Specifically, when we look at DHA, it's good to have high doses if you're having some sort of brain disorder. And so we want to make sure that we're taking DHA in, and we want to make sure that we're taking it in at a high dose because it's very, very powerful for brain function. Now, B vitamins. B vitamins are important as well. Recently, I'd say probably the past 5 nutrient tests that I've ran on people, they all had B vitamin deficiencies. People are under immense stress today. As a result of being under immense stress, they're just burning out their vitamin B stores, and then of course they have nothing left to work with. When we look at B vitamins, it's also important to make sure that you're using methylated B vitamins because the methylation process is involved in the stress hormone process, the process of anxiety. And so if we're taking the B vitamins, using the methylated B vitamins are going to be really so much more powerful for you, especially when it comes to reducing stress and anxiety. Brain antioxidants. Now, this is something, once again, you're not going to hear anywhere else because this is something that I stumbled across just from a clinical perspective working with patients. Now, one of the things that I do is a lot of detox work. And because I do a lot of detox work, we look at how we can actually effectively detox the brain. The brain naturally has its own detox system within it. However, when the brain's compromised, it doesn't detox well. So what we do is we really pour on a bunch of antioxidants and we pour on the proper nutrients necessary to shut down brain inflammation and help the brain function better. Now, one of the things that was kind of interesting is I have been doing it from a detox perspective, but a lot of people who saw these videos that in the different content and educational material that I have on it, were going and decided to start using some of my brain detox methods for their mood disorder, and it worked incredibly well. So it was never my intention for the brain detox education material to be, really focused on mood disorders and different psychiatric disorders. However, it worked really well for the people who went and took it upon themselves to use it for that. And so brain antioxidants such as CoQ10, such as alpha-lipoic acid, phosphatidylserine, N-acetylcysteine, broccoli seed extract, they all work very, very well, shutting down brain inflammation, helping the brain to function better. And so what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below because what I use is a specific formula that is at clinical relevant doses in order to help really shut down that brain inflammation and help detox the brain, but it really pours on those brain antioxidants. Now, we'll also talk about brain magnesium. Now, this is important because magnesium is very calming for the musculoskeletal system. It's very calming for the nervous system. It's very calming for the entire body. But here's the deal. When we look at magnesium specifically, there's some that works well for the brain and some that doesn't. Now, L-theanate is a specific magnesium that actually can cross the blood-brain barrier. And what studies show is that as you get that magnesium titrated at higher levels within the brain, it really helps calm the brain. So when we look at magnesium, we don't want to just take any magnesium. We want to take a brain-specific magnesium that is going to help calm the nervous system, which is going to help reduce anxiety. I'll put a link in the description below to one that I use for this. Now let's talk about stress reduction techniques. Now this is important because the dietary change is important, the different nutrients are very powerful and important, but it's also really important to make those lifestyle changes that are going to help reduce anxiety as well. Let's first talk about exercise. Now, when we look at exercise, there was 35 trials that were reviewed. Of the 35, 25 of them showed to have very significant impact on reducing anxiety. Now, when people started exercising daily, so they were looking specifically at things like yoga, a 30-minute walk a day. Now, when people were doing this, they were able to reduce anxiety and it worked very well. So we want to make sure that we're getting our daily exercise in to help with this. Next thing we want to do is sleep. Okay, like I mentioned, sleep becomes a vicious cycle because the anxiety causes insomnia, insomnia causes anxiety. So what you want to do is you really want to just focus in on improving your sleep in any way possible. Doing things like making sure you're going to bed early, not sitting in front of your phone or the TV late at night, making sure that your room is nice and cool because you'll be able to get into a deeper sleep, making sure that you're just putting in all these different methods that are out there in order to improve sleep quality is going to be very important during this time. So make sure you're working to improve your sleep. Meditation is also very important. Unfortunately, we live in a society with a lot of stress and a lot of things coming at us. And due to all this stress, essentially what happens is people just, it's overwhelming for them. It can cause a lot of anxiety. And so using meditation, specifically, I like using mindful meditation. It just helps calm the mind, calm the body. Doing this for 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, it's very, very powerful. Even doing it for 10 minutes twice a day. Some people, you'd be surprised when you try to start implementing meditation on how difficult it can actually be if you're someone who's just on the go all the time. And so calm the mind, calm the brain, and use meditation to help start reducing some of that anxiety. Then lastly, less media, okay? Everybody's sitting around on their cell phones all the time. Everybody is sitting and watching hours of news all the time. Like, make sure that you are cutting that stuff out of your life, because it's proven that the more time you spend on social media, it's correlated with more anxiety and depression. There's just too much input coming into the brain. And then there's a lot of input coming into the brain that is not healthy. I mean, even when you look at the news, if you were to take every bad thing that happens in the world and sum it all up in 20 minutes, that is not healthy for your brain. It's not healthy at all. So we have to make sure that these different things, these different media outlets, whether it's social media, whether it's the TV, we have to make sure that we're removing that from our lifestyle in order to help reduce the anxiety. So here's some of the different best tips that are going to really help you reduce anxiety. A lot of people are suffering from this. Like I said, my heart goes out to these people because it's something that nobody chooses to wake up with. It's something that nobody chooses to have in their life. I've seen, like I said, people lose their careers, their families, everything over anxiety, and it's something that really needs to be talked about more. So share this video with your friends because there's a lot of people out there who need it. Give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section here down below. And also, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. And check out my other videos on how you can improve your health. I'll see you in the next video.